As far as recruiting, we're going to continue to try to be the most aggressive and hardest working, really, recruiting staff in the country. And that's just a goal of mine, and that's a philosophy of mine is, hey, let's outwork everybody in the country. And that's in terms of evaluations. That's in terms of developing relationships. I think we've done a really good job of identifying the guys that we feel are the best players that fit Notre Dame. And that's something I kind of said in our first press conferences. I think at times it can be easy to recruit at Notre Dame because you're Notre Dame and there's a certain group of kids that just would die to come to Notre Dame. But I think for us to continue to elevate and continue to try to be national champions and be able to close that gap between right now Alabama. And we got to continue to acquire some of the best football players in the country. And those guys might not always be, hey, dying to come to Notre Dame. But if we understand that they're the right fit and we do our research and they can be successful here at Notre Dame, our job is to convince them, to let these guys know, hey, what makes the University of Notre Dame special? And it's not hard to do once you're here. It's hard to convince somebody because they're not here, but when you're here, you almost wonder, like, where else would you go? But it's our job as a staff is to convince these guys that, hey, man, there is no better place to go in the country. And there's many different ways of trying to present that to them. But that's right now is our philosophy is, hey, we've identified the top 22 prospects, the 2022 prospects. Now let's continue every day, find ways to convince this family that, hey, the University of Notre Dame is second to none when it comes to your college experience, when it comes to the competitive side, the development side of you as a student athlete. There's nowhere else in the country that compares to it. And so we want to be aggressive in what we do. And I think sometimes giving those guys the opportunity to cut loose and to be disruptive is kind of what they're talking about. And so it still has to fit within the scheme. I think once they continue to get to know the scheme and get to know exactly what we're looking for, there's some freedom within there to be a football player, and I believe in we're going to play football. I tell them all the time, let's be football players, not football players. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect, but if you continue to play with great effort and attitude, you're disruptive, good things will happen.